The hits just keep coming, but in a good way, right? West Virginia gets one of the best running backs in the Big 12 the second half of the season. I think you could say behind Ollie Gordon, maybe Jahiem White had the most breakout second half of the season in the Big 12. So Jahiem White has announced his return via Twitter slash X. I always call it Twitter still. Uh, in not a shock, but a big deal, and something I think we as fans needed, especially after the losses of Mike Lockhart and some other guys today. So let's look at it. He released a tweet just a little bit ago that says this. Apologies for the thing, it's taking a little longer. This is crazy. Thank you. Can't wait to play my next season with West Virginia. Hashtag WVU football in response to his All American status. He is a freshman All American. So this is a big deal on a lot of levels. We you can start to see we've got playmakers at all positions on offense returning guys. So it's almost guaranteed this offense is not going to lose much going into next year. And that's on all levels. You've got Cole Taylor back at tight end. You've got Traylon Ray back at wide receiver, already locked in. You got Tomas Remack, Wyatt Milam, and Brandon Yates on the offensive line. You got Jahiem White in the backfield, Garrett Greene at quarterback. It looks like the offense from last year to me. Now it's all about filling in holes, right? Will Nick Malone return on the right side, man, the right tackle spot? Valdosta State All-American coming to visit this week, guys. The big transfer in the portal for us. He's a 6'5", 300-pound center. He'll get a crack at the starting job, no doubt. I watched some of his tape. He's nasty. He's incredibly smart. I think he could absolutely start on this offensive line. And then you're talking about playing Brandon Yates in a more applicable position for him. He is better at guard or even tackle than he would be at center, although he can play all. So you get a good center in here, and then if you believe in Nick Malone or maybe Johnny Williams, maybe this offensive line can take a step forward next year. Now, losing Zach, it's going to make that really hard. I understand that. But I think this offensive line could be just as good, if not better. Another year together. Wyatt Milam and Tomas are both definitely going to get better. Then you talk about that kid in the backfield. Could he hit a sophomore slump? Absolutely. I think getting C.J. Donaldson is, in my opinion, outside of Travius Lathan, the next most important thing. Well, here's the three guys I think at this point, and you let me know in the comments, guys, who you think the most important people left on the roster currently, not off the roster, to keep next year. For me, it's Trey Lathan, Aubrey Burks, right? Don't forget about Aubrey in the back end. He's still a really good player. Although he didn't have quite the year everybody projected for him, it wasn't really good secondary overall. So I think he'll take a step forward, especially if they can surround him by some good players. And all indications are they're bringing in some better players. Hopefully, we've got a couple transfers visiting this week, and I think we're up in the 90 percentile range. When people visit Morgantown, they usually stay. So we've got some odd but good players coming in, one out of Canada. So for me, it's Aubrey Burks, Trey Lathan, and C.J. Donaldson. I think those are the three guys I would focus on now, and I'm sure they are. You kind of worry about CJ, I think. He's extremely hard on himself. And although he had a good year as far as touchdown total, and obviously I'm leaving out Nico, aren't I? Thanks, Tyler Cobb. I'm leaving out Nico. I do have information on that. How do I put this? I shook a couple trees about Nico, including people really close to him. That's as much as I can say. But what I got back was basically leave me alone. But I was told that everything is fine. People were spreading a rumor that there was an Uber driver that overheard his dad say that he was unhappy within the offense. So I went and asked a couple people, and that's close to the situation, if they'd known anything about that, because that's misinformation. We don't need it out there. And emphatically, I got back, no, that wasn't true. So I wasn't there, and I don't really like to get into these hearsay kind of things, but that was what was out there for a bit. And I didn't get anything really emphatic in return as far as that goes. So at the end of the day, I don't know about Nico. I think he's definitely going to play in the bowl game. God forbid anything else happening, and then we'll see. I think we all hope that he stays and sees this through. But guys, I mean, what's he going to be, a junior, senior before Garrett leaves? I don't know how this can happen. Personally, I think if his ceiling is higher than Garrett's, in my opinion. I've always felt that way. Garrett is who this team needs right now, but certainly Nico could turn into a better player. I think he's got a better arm. He could throw a little better. He could throw. He's a better thrower of the football. Garrett's a better runner of the football, more dynamic, and he's also a better vocal leader. I think at this point in time. It's tough, man, because I've rooted for Nico, and I'm a little biased, but obviously last year showed me that Garrett deserves his shot to lead this team. So I would never go against that now. David Cummings, thank you, channel member, said we need DBs, safeties, and linebackers. You said that. Now, and we need defensive linemen now. Mike Lockhart entered the transfer portal today. For those of you that do not know, he was probably our most consistent run stuffer last year. We do have Fatuma Mulva on the defensive line. Hammond Russell is still on the defensive line. Sean Martin still on the defensive line. Unfortunately, that's a pretty big loss. But remember, guys, he didn't play in 3 years at Georgia Tech, and he really progressed once he got here. I think A.J. Jackson doesn't get enough credit, which is why Penn State tried to hire him away from us this year. And if it were me and Jordan Leslie got fired, I would look highly from within it, and A.J. Jackson would be a candidate for me as defensive coordinator. I think he's got a bright future. I really do. So do I, Timothy. I completely disagree with that, Timo. I think he'll be a great college quarterback, and that's as far as it goes. He's going to be overlooked because of his size, first of all. Second of all, his intermediate throw. He can't even read defense right now, man. I don't know how much tape you watch, but if you go turn on the tape, the way they design offense for Garrett is they basically break it down into one half of the field, whichever play. He's got two routes on the left side of the field or two routes on the right side. He never has them all at once. And that way he's either got these two reads or he can go. And that's kind of structured around his improvisational skills as a runner. But until he gets better at reading defenses, and he has got a long way to go on that, he won't play in the NFL. And then obviously his intermediate throwing game is just very poor. Inside the numbers, inside of 10 yards, he's not very good. Deep ball thrower, he's one of the best in the nation as a deep ball thrower. Runner, one of the best in the nation. So at the end of the day, if he doesn't clean those things up, to me, and I'm just a guy, but I have gotten pretty good at evaluating players. That's just what I think he needs to get better at. So we'll see. Certainly he has the arm talent to do it, but man, he's got to learn when to take it. It doesn't always have to be a fastball with Garrett, and unfortunately, sometimes it is. So we'll see how it goes. I want him. Listen, if he ends up getting himself into the NFL conversation, that would be great. I wouldn't be mad about it. That's damn sure. No, Tyler. Once you enter the portal, you are cut off from the facilities, for lack of a better word. Kind of like, I don't know if you remember, like this past year, Cortez Braham came to Neil Brown and said, "Well, I want a red shirt," and basically he gave Neil an ultimatum with it. He wouldn't redshirt him, and then on top of that, he cut him off from the facilities. Same thing goes with Cortez Braham, or I'm sorry, with a any player that enters the portal. I would, I mean, unless they're on really good terms. I don't know this for sure, but my best guess is they're probably cut off from facilities. If you're leaving us, unless it's like you not, because there are situations where it's mutual, and sometimes you just got to understand, like Tess Walker, his grandma was about to die. You got to understand that. So Tess Walker at North Carolina, the wide receiver, his grandma was on her deathbed, and the NCAA still denied it the first time, which blows my mind. But yeah, so there are situations like that, and maybe a coach would let a guy use the facilities, but definitely not playing a bowl game. So I don't think that's possible at all. I think so too, David. He has to. We need him to take a step forward. That Oklahoma game was on him in a lot of ways, guys. Because he couldn't perform as a quarterback, Oklahoma was able to catch fire on offense. Now, our defense probably wasn't going to stop them that day, but we certainly could have scored and controlled the clock and prevented them. We could have took a couple possessions from them. Garrett just completely fell apart in that game. Anybody that watched it you can't deny that. And so what we have to figure out with Garrett is why that happened. And it happens to everybody, I know, but we can't afford for that to happen next year. He's got to be on in all the games. That we're still probably never going to be like those 2005, 6, 7, and 8 teams where we're just so much better than the competition that even if we bring our seed game, we're going to win, like Ohio State does. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. I do think this team is on the verge of being really good, but you guys get my point with it. Garrett's got to be able to if he's off like he was with Oklahoma, hopefully next year Neil won't be coaching for his job like he feels like he has been. That's another thing. I think the reason Neil has made a couple bad decisions under pressure moments, if you're coaching for your job, it affects you, and I think he's made some bonehead choices in the past because of that. But last year he was basically on all year long. He made a couple bad choices, but I mean it was very, very small. I mean he really called a great year on offense. I mean 31st overall in total offense is pretty damn good. So obviously yesterday the news with Traylon Ray was big. And you got Preston back. Hopefully Hudson Clement signs something soon. Haven't heard anything from Rodney G yet. Maybe his NIL deal's still ongoing. I'm not really sure how this works. If you haven't checked out my video with Stephen Ford yet, guys, I had Stephen Ford on yesterday, the COO of the Country Roads Trust. He's the head guy, and we talked a lot about this stuff. NILs do not go more than 1 year at a time. And the reason for that is because either party wants to lock themselves down in a negative situation, right? So, if you're a player and so let's say you sign a 2-year NIL deal and all of a sudden you get a chance to go to the portal to make a lot of money, you don't want to have yourself locked down. Similarly, if a player gets hurt or regresses, you don't want to be stuck in a 2-year NIL deal with them as well. So those are the reasons, which, to me are pretty important ones. Um, that's the big question, man. Nobody's heard. I think that he's thinking, just think about what happened last year with Jahiem and stuff, guys. I think that may have hurt his confidence a little bit. I'm just guessing. I don't know this. And he had trouble staying healthy again, and I sometimes wonder with CJ, maybe he would have been better at tight end. I think he's been great at running back. He's got obvious receiver skills. And sometimes I wonder how he would be as a pass catcher. I really do. It's something I truly do wonder about. Maybe you look good because he broke out in that pit game, but I don't know. We'll see. I think at the end of the day, I hope CJ doesn't go home to Miami or go back to Florida or anything. But at this point, nobody really knows Timothy or David. Well, we're probably going to have to because I don't. Jalen Anderson, you saw what happened to him. He was put in the doghouse after, was it the Houston game when it bounced off his chest into another uh, defender's hands, and then he was in the doghouse the rest of the year. So I don't have any knowledge on him either, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him or Justin transfer just because the way it played out last year. If CJ leaves, maybe that opens us up a slot for one of those two. But one of those two guys have to take a step forward. You guys remember in the offseason this past year, we all thought Jalen Anderson could end up being the best player on the offense because the way he finished Oklahoma State with 150 plus yards, the way he looked in that game. And maybe he had a slump, but I don't know. He nor Justin never really got it going. Now they never got a ton of opportunities either. It was basically the CJ show for the first 5 weeks of the year. I don't know, man. It was really inconsistent at times last year. Remember that it seemed like our guys just could not break tackles. And then all of a sudden, towards the end of last year, we dominated people. Strength of competition, I think, is part of that. And that's another part of this too, guys. Like when we play the Utahs, the Arizonas, we're going to be tested, I think. So we have to be able to beat good teams. That's why beating North Carolina, in my opinion, is really important at the end of this year. They're a pretty good team, and they would be by far our best win of the year. So they're better than Texas Tech, so they're better than TCU, better than UCF and Houston, which we didn't beat Houston, and they're better than BYU. So I think this would be a chance to get our best win and it'd be your last win. So I don't know. Yeah, me too, Tyler. Go get Ollie Gordon. He's not in the portal, unless it just happened. That was a rumor that went out yesterday. Somebody copy and pasted the On3 logo onto their profile picture, and then they shared Ollie Gordon out as basically as a transfer, and he did not. So I don't know if any of you guys saw that or if that's what you're thinking, Tyler, or unless he's gotten in the portal and I don't know about it. So not a lot of people showed up for this one, guys. Probably end up having to cut this one off. I truly thought there would be more people show up for the Jahiem White news than this. Maybe I did it too early. 6 o'clock could be a reason. If there's football that I don't know about going on right now, I don't think there is. But generally speaking, I really thought this was going to be a little bit more of a more watch video. So they got you. Yeah, no, it was not legit, man. Go back and look at that tweet. Just some TCU fan, because if you'll notice, they put at the bottom, he's looking to go home, visit TCU. I have to agree. A win over North Carolina would be absolutely amazing going into next year. Absolutely, David. What's up, Jacob Yoho? Right. Yeah, absolutely they will. They will. I just just wanted to talk to everybody. So does anybody in here right now have anything else they want to talk about, switch gears or anything? Super chat button's down there if you want to help out. This is what I do for a living. I don't like to beg for money, but I do like to bring that up. And don't forget the like button, guys. There's 26 of y'all in here. So if you can hit that like button for me, just everybody that's in the chat, that would help out. And drop a comment after the video is over, too, if you can. I don't know how many of you guys will actually listen to me and do that, but the 26 likes will help out a lot. Yeah, I just actually Hoops from the Hills. We just released a video on that, SEMO. So if you go over to Hoops from the Hills and watch our video, well, you got some, Timothy. Go watch Hoops from the Hills right now. When I'm done with this video, we just released a video on all of it, updates, everything. So I can tell you guys this: at this point, I'll be shocked if Raekwon Battle's not playing, possibly by tomorrow. That's most people in the. A lot of people think it'll be by tomorrow. Certainly the game after that. So they backed him into a corner big time here. We're talking about a six-state coalition against the NCAA, and not only will Raekwon Battle be eligible, everybody will be eligible if this injunction goes through. That includes Noah Farrakhan, who you guys know is sitting on the bench. They thought was going to be the future next year. I don't know how they would handle that situation. I'm assuming they're going to cave and just get Battle um, okay to go, but 6+ West Virginia. Um, so yeah, so good, buddy. Go check out the Hoops from the Hills video, guys. I will let y'all go. Yeah, I'll let you guys go. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Before everybody leaves and goes, hit the like button on your way out, please, so I can at least have 25 likes on here. Absolutely, absolutely, David. So, but I hope this video was informative at all. Big news on Jahiem White. Excited about that. We will continue to monitor that situation with Jahiem or not Jahiem, but with CJ and Trey Lathan. I think those are the biggest ones. So I appreciate you guys too, man. Appreciate you guys too. So hit that like button before you go, please. Appreciate it, you guys. Y'all have a great night. I'm out of here. This has been another episode of Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. This episode is over. We are out. Thanks, Tim.